Hi, welcome to Life Online. I just recently finished reading the book Counterfeit Gods by Tim Keller. It's a great book and I really recommend reading it. But in particular, one of the stories that he pulls apart in the book is the story of Naaman. This can be found in 2 Kings chapter 5, and I totally recommend that you read the entire story. But let's just talk about it. Naaman was in command of all the armies of the king of Aram. He had incredible access to resources of this powerful kingdom. What a place to be, something that we would covet in this world today even. But despite all the glory and power, Naaman was under a death sentence, for he had leprosy. This is a condition that breaks the bones and skin, and parts of your body fall off as you slowly die. He was dying from the inside out, and none of the worldly success that he had achieved could help him. I feel sure that this visible disfiguring disease is a great word picture for what happens when sin is left unaddressed in our hearts. We can achieve all the world has to offer: power, fame, wealth. But left to grow, pride, anger, greed, and lust, to name but a few things, they'll destroy us from the inside out. We see that all too often played out on the world stage. The pinnacle of worldly success is reached. There's fame, talent, power, wealth. It's all achieved, but it's not enough. True peace and real joy cannot be purchased, and without them, the soul finds no rest. So you enter greed, divorce, addiction, even suicide. When we let sin grow unchecked, it will destroy us. So we see Naaman, all the power and no way to save himself. None of his doctors or little g gods have been able to help him. Enter a servant. In this case, it is a young Jewish girl who has been ripped away from her family by the very people that she is then called to serve. It's quite likely her family have been sold or even worse, killed. She has an opportunity because she knows her God can help her master. But she has a choice because she can also allow him to slowly die. With the characteristic humility of her God, this little girl tells Naaman the very thing that he can do to help him. She tells him to go and visit the prophet in Israel. So Naaman goes to Israel, but he goes to buy his redemption. He starts out not at the prophet's house, but he goes to the king with money and gifts. The king is actually pretty upset about this because he knows he can't help and is worried it's going to start a war. But he redirects Naaman to Elisha the prophet. Naaman goes to Elisha's house and is quite insulted when Elisha himself doesn't actually answer the door. It's his servant. Even more, no money will be exchanged. There will be no requirement from Naaman other than to simply go and dip his body in the Jordan River 7 times. This also insults Naaman, who is an incredibly proud man and wants to buy and exercise his power in order to receive his cure. And he goes away insulted and angry. So again, now we see the third servant. This is one of Naaman's servants, and he comes and reasons with his master that if he was prepared to give all that he was and to do anything in order to receive this cure, why not just do what he'd been told to do, as humbling as it might be? Naaman listened to reason, and he went and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan River, and he comes up, he's redeemed, he's been saved from leprosy. It's so easy to miss that in this entire situation, no wealth, power, or success could save Naaman. No expensive doctor or self-help gurus were there. He was powerless. There's a few other things that I really thought were interesting. 3 times Naaman actually had to listen to a servant for guidance. Sometimes we strive so much for positions of power and influence in our world. But the position of a servant surrendered to God is a powerful position to be in. And we've seen that in this story. But there's no better example of a servant with incredible power than Jesus himself. He gave everything that we would be saved. The other thing is, it takes humility to listen to a servant, but it might also be desperation. God will facilitate both those things in our lives if it will draw us to Him that He can work in our life. We need to be willing to listen to those who guide us to God, even if what they say appears to be foolishness to the rest of the world. And lastly, you cannot buy redemption through works or power. God does not need your great acts, your wealth to save you. Redemption is a gift of God and a gift of grace alone. Maybe you're still trying to earn your redemption or even buy it. Perhaps you struggle like Naaman to believe that God could be so generous and merciful to give this gift. But in this story, we see God's grace poured out on a man who has even attacked God's own people. So how much more merciful will He be for those who believe in Him? I hope that you hear the message of the gospel in this story today and allow Jesus to truly transform your heart and through the work of grace, make you into a new creation. Have a great day.